There's a lot of conflicting and confusing information out there about diet and exercise, particularly around the subject of fat burning. I want to acknowledge first that diet and exercise are not necessarily easy to change. There's a lot that goes into our decision about how active to be. There's a lot that goes into our decision about what to eat and what not to eat. Sometimes those changes are easier said than done. But I'm hoping that some good, clear, scientific, common sense information will help motivate and inspire you to make the changes that you want to make. My name is Dr. David Russ. I'm a chiropractor. I practice in Portland, Oregon, and I'm really glad you're here watching. If you like the video, please like it and hit subscribe. Also, if you like our channel and you want to support our work, there's a link in the video description to our Fullscript store. There's a huge selection of very high quality supplements there. If you're buying supplements anyway, or you want to start, please buy from us. If we do get a cut, there's a 20% discount across the board for all our patients and viewers. Shipping is free on orders over $50, so shipping is really fast. And again, the selection is huge. At the end of this video, I'm going to be making some supplement recommendations. They're all available on Fullscript through our link. Appreciate that. So let's get started. What is fat? Why is it in our body? How do we burn it? What's the deal? Okay, let's get into it. Just like carbs, fats can be turned into energy in our cells. Fats need the presence of oxygen in order to be burned, which is unlike carbs, which can be burned in the presence of oxygen or metabolized anaerobically in the absence of oxygen. In a previous video, we talked about aerobic conditioning and how it's important. One of the reasons it's so important is that it's the only way you can burn fat. You cannot burn fat anaerobically. So if you're exercising very intensely and you're panting and gasping, you're exercising anaerobically and you're not burning any fat that way. That type of exercise is great. High intensity intervals are great. It's wonderful to have that excess capacity. But if you're looking to burn fat, you have to exercise aerobically, which is moderate, longer. Watch the other video. There's a card for it right there, and then come back and watch this one. Most of the cells in our body will prefer glucose over fat to fuel. So they'll usually only tap into fat when the glucose is starting to run out. It doesn't mean that your whole body is depleted of glucose. It means that the local area is depleted of glucose, or that cell's storage of glucose has been depleted. So you don't have to burn through all of your stored glucose, which in a typical human body is about 60 to 90 minutes of energy store, which, by the way, we can store in about 1 pound or 2 of glycogen, which is basically starch, stored in our liver and in our muscles. There are some tissues, particularly brain and nerve, that only want to burn glucose. And there are some tissues that really only want to burn fat, particularly the heart. So when you're doing cardiovascular exercise, you're kind of getting a double whammy of fat burning. Number one, your heart is beating more and working harder, so it's burning more fat. Number two, you're getting in your aerobic zone and you're starting to deplete stores of glucose, so you're going to be burning fat. Let's talk about some facts about fat in the body and how it burns, and let's dispel some myths. Number one, you cannot target fat loss to a certain area of your body by doing certain exercise. I wish it worked that way. I bet you wish it worked that way, but it doesn't work that way. Where your body deposits fat and where your body retrieves fat is based on your hormones and your genetics. It's not based on what exercises you're doing. So by all means, do squats and do planks, but those are not going to burn fat from your thighs and your belly. Number two, you cannot avoid putting fat on your body by avoiding putting fat in your body. And fats are really necessary for good health. Dietary fat is necessary. And like any other nutrient, it should be high quality and fresh. And avoiding it doesn't stop you from putting fat on. Basically, any calorie that you take in, if you don't use it within a few hours, it's going to be turned into a fatty acid and deposited in an adipose cell somewhere in your body. That's because fat is the primary form of energy storage in your body. Again, 1 pound or 2 of starch. All the rest of the energy store in your body is fat. Dietary fats are very, very important. Body fat is very, very important. It's necessary for your health. We'll talk about all the beautiful functions of fat in your body pretty soon. And here's another fact for you, and that is that fats are much more calorie rich than carbohydrates or protein. There's much more energy in a gram of fat than there is in a gram of starch or a gram of protein, more than twice as much. A gram of carbohydrate or a gram of protein is 4 calories. A gram of fat is 9 calories. That's why your body stores calories as fat. It's very, very efficient. So other than energy storage, what does the fat do in your body? Hugely important function of fat in your body is protection. There's fat in your organs, there's fat around your organs, and there's fat between the muscle and the skin layers of your body. That protects you. It's padding. It's really, really important. It also helps to preserve your body heat, and that's not only important in cold climates, it's important anywhere and everywhere. Fat also is what gives us our shape and our structure. And finally, and what I think is extremely interesting and can geek out about for a really long time, is the nature of the adipose tissue and the fascia and connective tissue that the adipose tissue is embedded in is highly sensory. It is very, very sensitive. It is also very, very strong. So there's a big part of who we are that is adipose tissue. If you don't take anything else away from this video, I hope my voice will echo in your mind saying that your adipose tissue and your fatty tissue is just as lovely and important and functional and beautiful as everything else in your body. With that being said, let's talk about how to metabolize fat and what promotes the metabolism of fat. Number one thing that promotes the metabolism of fat is using energy. The most efficient way for you to tap into fat stores in an exercise way is with aerobic conditioning. And so that video, Foundations of Wellness, Where Do I Start, is all about aerobic conditioning, how to do it. I won't repeat it here other than to say it's very important and can be really life-changing, not only in terms of the shape and size of your body and how much you weigh, but your strength, your endurance, your mood, your sleep, so many things. Number two, a way to encourage fat burning in your body is with a caloric balance. So as I said before, any calorie that you take in that you don't use within a couple of hours is going to be stored as a fat molecule in an adipose cell. So if you want to stop your body from doing that, you have to stop taking in more energy than you're using. And there's lots of ways to count calories. There's lots of ways to figure out how many calories you're burning. Tons of apps for that. I don't need to get into that here other than to say it does work and it is important. Because kind of no matter what else you do, if you are taking in more calories than you're expending in a day, you're not going to tap into your fat stores and you're not going to burn fat. Another thing that really promotes healthy fat metabolism is healthy fat intake and avoiding bad fats. We'll talk a little more about what bad fats are in a couple of minutes, but let's talk now about what good fats are. In your diet, it's things like olive oil, it's fresh meats, nuts, avocados, coconut. As far as supplementation goes, fish oil is so crucial. I'm going to do a whole video soon just about how wonderful and health providing fish oil can be. If you're vegetarian or vegan or you don't want to eat fish for whatever reason, you don't even want to take fish oil, which by the way, you can take it in capsules now. You don't even have to take it. There's borage oil, flaxseed oil, black currant seed oil, and coconut oil are also very, very nutritious, extremely helpful, beneficial fats that your body will just drink in and immediately put to good use in brain tissue and muscle cells and nerve cells and skin and everything. And then finally, there's genetic and hormonal factors where certain people, and we know who they are, they're just better at burning fat. We can talk about the biochemistry of that. It has to do with our DNA and our DNA coding for enzymes, and many of those enzymes involved in the metabolism of fat, and some people are just born with enzymatic systems that are not quite as efficient as others. That does not mean it's the end of the road for you and that you can't burn fat. It just means you might need a little extra support in the form of nutritional supplementation, and we'll talk about that soon. But let's talk about things that inhibit fat metabolism. Well, we just talked about genetic and hormonal factors. Estrogen is a huge factor in how much fat we have in our body, and the different types of estrogen have a lot to do with where that fat is deposited. Everyone has estrogen in their body. Women, obviously, much more than men, but it does encourage the deposition of fat. Again, it doesn't mean you can't burn fat. It just means it's harder for you to burn. Testosterone is one of those things that encourages the burning of fat. Nutrient deficiency can be devastating to many, many different aspects of metabolism, including fat metabolism. So one of the best things you can do for your body overall is to eat a good, healthy, balanced diet of fresh foods, lean meat, whole grain, fresh fruit and vegetables, nuts, seeds, eggs, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of sugar. If you do that, you're halfway there. Inactivity is also an enormous factor in people not being able to burn fat. If you're sedentary, there's nothing you can take, there's no supplement you can take, there's no medicine out there that will burn your fat for you. You have to burn those calories, you have to use them. You have to do some activity, you have to move your body. Again, check out that video that I keep referencing, it's really important. Caloric excess, eating too much. So even if you're super active and you're burning 4,000 calories a day, if you're taking in 5,000 calories a day, by the way, those are huge numbers, you're going to store fat. You're going to store all that excess calorie in fat, 9 calories per gram. So if you take in 900 excess calories in a day, that's going to be stored as 100 excess grams of fat. And that adds up over time. So eat less, move more, your body will start to tap into those fat stores as long as all your movement isn't anaerobic. And we're going to talk a little bit about trans fats now because they're a huge inhibitor of good fat metabolism, including fat burning and weight loss. Trans fats are fats that have gone through some chemical process that has changed their chemical structure slightly, enough to make it very difficult for your body to process, but not enough to make it inedible. Trans fats are in a lot of our packaged food. Anytime the ingredient in your packaged food, like a Twinkie or a cupcake or most boxed or bagged cookies, it says partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. Might be soybean oil, usually is soybean oil. Partially hydrogenated means it's a trans fat. It's been chemically modified to be solid at room temperature. It gives it a much longer shelf life. It makes your cookies soft, which is great. Soft cookies are the best, right? But those trans fats get in your body, you digest and absorb them, and then your cells have a really hard time knowing what to do with them. And it gums up the work of fat metabolism. So avoiding your hydrogenated fats in packaged food. And the number 2 source of trans fats is oil that has been repeatedly heated and cooled. And primarily I'm thinking of a fryer in a restaurant. So you go to a restaurant and you'll learn to smell. The trans fats actually have a certain smell. It kind of smells like a dive bar. I don't know how else to describe it. You walk in and it's sort of this stale smell. That's the fryer grease that has been heated and cooled and heated and cooled and heated and cooled. And every time it does that, there's more and more trans fat being formed in that fryer. So if you take a bag of potato chips, for example, that you get at the grocery store, and it's good quality, let's say, so that the oil in it is not hydrogenated, that factory potato chip is actually better for you than a tater tot that you get at a bar where they don't change the oil in the fryer. Because at the factory where they make the potato chips, they're going through oil really, really quickly. Their fryer is always on, so it's not heated and cooled and heated and cooled. At the diner or the Greasy Spoon or the dive bar, and I love a dive bar, they turn on the fryer, they make food, end of the night, they turn off the fryer, they put a cover on it. They do not drain that oil. It's the same at fast food restaurants. That oil is not drained and replaced every day. It's replenished slowly over time. So that kind of thing will really hamper your body's ability to metabolize fat. I just spent like 3 minutes talking about it because it's really, really super important. Let's talk about nutrients that will really help and support this in you. As I mentioned before, your fish oil or your vegan alternative, borage, flax, blackcurrant seed, and coconut are really, really good plant-based oils for you. So is avocado, by the way. Zinc and magnesium are a little bit deficient, even in a really good diet, and it should be supplemented daily by almost everyone. They're super important in almost all enzymatic reactions where either you're catalyzing an enzyme to create an enzyme, or you are creating energy and all those energy creating pathways. A lot of those steps need magnesium and zinc to be present in order to work. Likewise, a good quality B complex. Almost all of your B complex vitamins are necessary for energy production, and energy production comes from the metabolism of carbohydrates or fats. So a good quality B complex, your fish oil or vegan alternative, zinc and magnesium, and then carnitine. And let's talk about carnitine. Carnitine, when it was first sort of started to be talked about quite a while ago, it was marketed as a weight loss supplement. That's not what it is. It does not cause your body to burn more fat than it otherwise would. Carnitine is kind of like the chemical wheelbarrow that brings the fat into the mitochondria where it's burned. And carnitine is in meat, it's in our diets, it's not hard to find. Some people need more carnitine because their enzyme systems are a little bit hampered by genetics or hormonal factors. So carnitine is something that will assist your body in burning the fat it already wants to burn. So carnitine won't do anything for you unless you're exercising. And you can find some really good quality carnitine, and I'll put a link to a specific product or two in the video description below. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about it, I know this can be a confusing topic, pop it in the comments. If I feel any more information from you, I'll let you know. We can have a video chat. And I appreciate you watching. And Dr. Russ signing off.